You're listening to the Big Sci Fi Podcast,
the biggest sci-fi podcast in the galaxy.
You're listening to the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, the biggest sci-fi podcast in the galaxy, with Adina, Brian, Chris, and Steve. We're a part of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network, and we're having more fun than ever celebrating our 10th season and 4 years of friendship talking all things science fiction. Calling all sci-fi fans, you're invited to the party. Let's have some fun.
Two letters that mean so much to us today and in the years ahead, so much even more. They are AI. We use it every day. I used it to do a bit of research for this podcast. And in films or TV series, the idea of artificial intelligence had only been examined a few times prior to 1970. However, most were about a robot or an android, not a supercomputer. Prior to 1970, the only example of a supercomputer was that of HAL in 2001. And in that film, HAL made life and death decisions of the crew and the mission. Luckily, it was deactivated by one of the astronauts. We all know what happened to him. Or do we?
Do we, though? Yeah, right.
I don't. That is one of the, maybe a supercomputer could give us that answer. I don't know. Let's ask AI one day. Today, we are discussing another film where the villain of the story is a supercomputer. And it is a film that has not been available for viewing in its original format until just recently. The film we are discussing today is from 1970. That being Colossus, the Forbin Project. Since 1970, there have been other films and TV shows that have had the villain as a supercomputer, and the one that always comes to my mind is the Terminator, and the villain is Skynet, or the Matrix, which we have discussed on a prior podcast. Yet for today, we are here to discuss Colossus, the Forbin Project. As always, our human meat bags for today are Adina.
Hey, everybody.
Brian.
Hey, everybody. I just copied Adina. What?
Well, that's exactly what
am I
said.
doing with my life? Not that copying Adina is a bad thing.
Not at all.
But it's probably a good thing sometimes, at least most of the time. Smart gal. I'm just digging a hole for myself even too.
Yes, you are. Yes.
Hey, it's Brian from Ohio.
There you go. Chris from Toronto. He can't be with us today, I'm sorry to say. And me, I'm Steve. So without any further interruptions from our AI overlords, let us begin the discussion of Colossus, the Forbin Project. Or as he would say, this is the voice of world control. This is the voice of Colossus.
Terrifying.
We need a little more electronic-y.
I need an auto tuner, one of those that would do perfect, but that's the best I can do human wise. So now I know without asking, and I'm sure this is the first time either one of you have seen this film. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a little surprised I was not more aware. I thought I was pretty well versed in AI related movies. So I'm kind of surprised that I wasn't even aware of this.
It's been off the shelf for a long time, and I've looked for it. I've looked for DVDs. I've looked for streaming or YouTube. Anything.
What did you mean about not available for viewing in its original format until just recently? What did you mean by that?
Because most of the time it was available on television, regular television, and format was not in this way. And from what I understand, through Wikipedia or whatever, that when it was brought forward, it's in its original theatrical version that we have. So it's been done over on television to fit. I mean, that's how I saw it when I was a kid. I saw it on television. Okay. So that's how I know about it. But I never saw it in the theater. So to me, this is if I'm seeing the original format, is because this is the theatrical release that they have available.
Very interesting.
So what did you think of it, kids?
It was interesting. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I found it very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Although parts of it was intriguing,
Mhm.
but the way it was done was a little slow, and I it just felt like it moved slow, at least for the first half.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the main character, the guy who played Dr. Forbin,
Mhm.
he was very unemotional, very it was just very cavalier and nonchalant. And it was like, you're doing something that has some urgency. So I feel like you should have some more urgency about you. But he like just meandered around very calmly, only spoke calmly. And I found that very weird.
What about you, Brian? How'd you feel about that?
I really did enjoy this film. And I've watched. I had to break up my viewing, but I've watched parts of it several times actually because I was trying to find my spot and everything. So, so I feel like I got a really good handle on some stuff. And I have mixed reviews about the lead actor, which he is a longtime soap opera star.
Yes, he is.
Very long time soap opera star here in the States. It probably didn't bother me as much as like it sounds like it might have Adina. But I think part of that, I'm wondering if part of that was intentional to build up to that final scene, which we'll talk about eventually, to where finally he kind of fully realizes the gravity of the situation as the supercomputer is now making even more extreme demands. So I think that I will say there is something.
The initial demand was pretty extreme.
It was, but I think
you don't let me talk to my computer friend. I'm going to blow up one of your cities. That was a pretty extreme.
You're right, but
situation.
at that point,
and he
though,
does blow up one of the cities.
And at that point, though, they have a plan they think could work to disable it or render it powerless without having control of the missiles. So I think that's part of it. But it could just be they didn't think to give this guy more emotion. And I wonder, was this a novel? Was this a book?
Yes, it was.
So I wonder if that's part of it too. I wonder if there's something underlying that we're not aware of with the original story in its written form. And I do want to say this before I forget. There is an art form and something to be said for a perfectly placed glass of wine. That's all I'll say.
Well,
that saved the film from a R rating. And Susan, was it Susan Clark? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Now, although I'm completely departing from the reason why you were bringing up the perfectly placed, bottle of wine, but when he first makes that martini, where he pours the vermouth over the ice and then I'm like, there's so much focus and camera focus placed on that. I'm like, I was wondering, like, is this a Chekhov's gun? Is there some reason that they're doing this? Is it some trick or something? It was nothing, but
well, later
I don't
on,
know.
Did Susan Clark's character, did she do it exactly the same?
No, remember she tells the story of where she inadvertently pours the gin over the ice.
Yeah.
And
so
does that.
She tells a made-up story of inadvertent, like a potentially made-up story.
If I'm not mistaken, I think she makes it differently than he did, and yet Forbin calls it perfect. And so I wonder if the computer caught that, and that was part of his intuition that there's something going on here. Because he made such a big deal about the perfect martini and how to make it, and then she makes it differently. I mean, I think they focused on that specifically, even if I recall correctly, and then he says it's perfect.
Okay, so then maybe there was a reason.
He has to play along,
Okay, so then maybe it was a little Chekhov's gunny, and there was a reason for focusing on it so much.
Could be, or I'm totally reading into it.
Yeah.
Which is
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I do like there. First of all, there's a couple things that I found interesting about some of the actors in this film. The lady who was always answering the phone in the computer control room is the mom from Happy Days.
That's right.
Yep.
I've never seen her in anything other than Happy Days, So I was
So-
thrilled. And is the African American gentleman in this film too that ends up getting executed?
He was on the TV show The Mod Squad.
The Mod Squad, but it also
That's
had an appearance as a Jem Hadar on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
So there's some Star Trek linkage here. And then there's several small, several actors in this film too that were all over television in the 70s and 80s in bit parts. The congressman played in, I think, some original Star Trek episodes. And there were other characters as well that played in original Star Trek. And then I think eventually Next Gen too, probably. So there's a lot of Star Trek connection in this film.
The actor who played the CIA boss was in Star Trek, the TOS series as well. So you do see that in this. But and again, what you were saying earlier, Adina, about the slow pace, I think that to me, it's like it was deliberate because you just want to, you kind of want to think everything's okay. There's no problem. Everything's fine. And all of a sudden they find that there's another system. Colossus demands to talk to Guardians.
Well, that's exactly it. Once that starts happening, okay, everything is clearly not fine.
Right.
Yet, especially the main actor, Dr. Forbin, he's like so nonchalant about everything. He's not surprised. Like he's just so nonchalant.
Don't they usually have the mad scientist as being rather, nonchalant? He's
no. Sometimes no. This was just weird in the fact that he was just so like, okay, he wasn't taken aback. He wasn't surprised about any of those things.
Right, because he figured, okay, well, this is just what's going to happen. Especially when Colossus starts sending 1 times 1 equals 1, 1 times 2, and doing that to establish that he's like, this is what I expected to happen. Yes, I'm not surprised. This is okay. Everything's fine.
Okay. But again, when the thing is like asking to get connected to this other computer, and then when it was freaking out, when it was disconnected and all those things, he was still like, again, he was just so unemotional, non-reactive, nonchalant, just like, okay, whatever. That's the part I struggled with that the most.
They used to refer to as having ice water in your veins, like you're just so cool and calm that
But I feel like for watching a film, I want my human characters to emote a little bit.
Well, he does it as he gets along and he realizes that his baby is a monster.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't emote to the very, 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 very end. And Colossus was a monster way early. Again, like I said, I'm going to cite disconnect me or I'm launching a missile. And oh, by the way, they launched the missile. They both simultaneously launched missiles. There you go. There's your monster right there, very early in the film.
Right. And that's when they start to, it's not so much him as opposed to the Russian ambassador, the Russian premier, the president of the United States. They're all freaking out. Everybody's going crazy. What are we supposed to do?
Dr. Forbin should be freaking out too, because his baby is a monster.
You think though? Because I think at that point he's still trying to figure out what's going on and what's happening and trying to save his baby too.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
With emotion. Do it with some emotion. Some emotion. He was just so nonchalant, like whatever.
Well, one of the questions I asked you is the main character of Charles Forbin. Did he come across as someone that was concerned for his fellow man or for his creation?
Neither. Honestly, neither.
Yeah.
Again, he had so little emotion. Neither.
Okay.
I mean, he did the actions to help save, humanity. He did all the things he could do. He was taking the right actions, but there was no real emotion involved in this. And that's my problem.
Okay. But again, maybe this movie was not a success in the theater. Okay. When it came out, So there may have been other people who felt the same way.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Again, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Right. But again, isn't that the case with a lot of books where often the opening is very long and drawn out, and like, let's get to the point of it, and then the action start. I remember reading Jurassic Park everybody's saying the beginning of the book is really slow, very slow, but then it'll take off.
But there's a difference between a book and a movie, and a lot of times the way things are adapted for film. They make a lot of changes to make it more appropriate for the medium.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't read the book here. I don't really. I'll be honest. After our experience with Forbidden Planet a couple years ago, where I did go back and read the old book again, some of these old books are just a little too dated for me to really enjoy reading, especially how they handle women and stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily motivated to read this.
That's another thing that did bother me, Adina, when the atomic bomb goes off. Who are the ones that get all emotional and hide their faces? It's all the women, right? They're the one. They go to the men to embrace and hug. They're the ones and all the men are kind of stone faced. They're shocked.
Yep.
But it's the women that are emotionally reacting to it like they can't handle it. And so that's a sign of the times. And
I noticed that. I absolutely noticed that.
But I will say, like, from the music in this film is pretty nice. I think it helps the film tremendously, in my opinion. Because you're right, Adina, it does have a certain slowness to it. Which I can sometimes like the motion picture, Star Trek, the motion picture. I actually enjoy the slowness because the music is so good and the visuals are so fantastic. But the sets on this thing, I loved the layout of the computer and how that thing hung down from the ceiling and the words scrolled across. I thought that was a very interesting looking visual. And so I think there's a lot of really good things in this for sure. And the acting, maybe except for Dr. Forbin, was I think is on par with a lot of stuff in the 70s, sci-fi in the 70s. So
the rest of the acting was just fine. It was not spectacular, but it was watchable. It was fine.
Yeah, I doubt there were any Academy Awards handed out.
No,
for this one, but
no, not at all.
It is, I will say too, Steve, as someone who dabbles in AI too in various different ways, and of course have read things and watched things and listened to what people are saying about AI, from the people who are 100% behind it to the conspiracy theorists who are deathly afraid that AI is going to take over the entire Earth like this one did in this movie. I felt like, especially for 1970, like, holy cow, they really went somewhere with this to like what could happen if a computer could develop and evolve and grow in knowledge and start actually thinking for itself. Like, I felt like they kind of nailed it in this.
Well, no. I mean, like, it was, I don't know what you mean by nailed it, because
playing on the fear of what it could be. I'm not saying it's based in reality.
Because it's not. Yeah.
I'm saying based on classic sci-fi tropes and themes about AI. I think that it's it really pulls on the fear factor.
It is absolutely a fear-based thing, because it always irked me a little bit that I would say, AI and supercomputers get a bum rap in sci-fi, where you see them more as villains than not, which why? We have absolutely zero reason to believe or suspect one way or another whether if an AI were to become sentient. We have absolutely no idea. We have zero data points on what happened.
Right.
And so I think it gets a bum rap. In a lot of Asimov's fiction, the robots were not bad.
Right.
And then, of course, we have data. But the vast majority, people like make them out to be the villain characters. And I do find that to be problematic a little bit.
Why do you think that tends to be a direction that authors and movies and writers tend to lean towards.
So I think that's you hit on it. I think there's a fear. There's a fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. But again, you mentioned about robots and androids. They're always portrayed as either trying to be human-like, or we interact with them as if they were, people we could get along with. Things, they're not usually robots. It wasn't really till the Terminator that you had a robot that was just a killing machine. I don't know if you think back of other films where there were robots.
Battlestar Galactica.
After this, okay, that was in the 70s when you had the Cylons, right? Yeah. But before,
I'm probably sure if I really think I can think of some more, but Battlestar Galactica comes to was the first one that came to mind.
Okay, but in more times than not, let's put it this way: more times than not, they're portrayed as friends or helpers of humans than evil. But you can say now that there are more times where if it's a supercomputer, it's going to be portrayed as evil. Mm-hmm. From HAL to the Matrix to this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I was actually really hoping. So during the movie at some point, the humans have come up with this plan that they're going to replace some of the circuitry in the missiles to essentially what they're doing is they're going to try to disarm the missiles.
Right.
And so what I was hoping, or where I thought that the movie was going, was like both the U.S. and the Soviet Union were going to disarm all the missiles. And then you've got Colossus and Guardian go like, haha, joke's on you. We got you all to disarm your missiles. So that's how we saved humanity. That's where I thought the movie was going.
That would have been a very nice way to do it. And you're absolutely right. That was their plan to begin with, to show them that these weapons in the wrong hands would be the end of humanity. And that would have been a nice lesson to be learned. However, they chose the opposite where, we knew about your plans. Guess what? They're all active. And now you really made us angry at you for trying to pull a fast one over us.
I kind of, like I said, not my, like I said, I was very intrigued. I liked the movie. It was intriguing, but I really wish they had gone with my ending.
Well, considering you think about all the films that came out in the 60s and so on, where if there was nuclear war or there was the potential for it happening, it's always, the worst case scenario. Dr. Strangelove, fail safe, on the beach, what other, where we weren't going to survive. The nuclear war was going to destroy us and end us. And so now in this story, which one thing is that we've given the keys to defense and offense to a supercomputer. Right now, Adina, that we want to build a golden dome to protect us against enemy missiles that might be shot at us. But still, I think the end result is there's always going to be a human to make the decision to do something, that they wouldn't leave it entirely in the hands of an algorithm to decide if that is a incoming missile or a aircraft that's off track and we're going to shoot it down.
I think one of the parts of this movie along those lines, Steve, that I found interesting, and this is why I wonder if there's not more in the book, more behind the scenes. We jump in this story right to implementation of this thing.
Right.
We don't get much of the backstory of it being built. And the president of the United States seems so eager and so absolutely dead set that this is the right decision. This is the best decision. This is a historic decision for all of mankind, And then you see that the Russians have a supercomputer. And now these two computers are working together eventually in the film, right? Which I thought was kind of interesting.
That was kind of cool. I like that they kind of discovered each other and decided to team up. But like I said, I really wish they were teaming up for good. Like I said, I wish it was my version of the ending where, yeah, it was like, haha, we tricked you to get you to to disarm all your missiles. That would have been, I thought
Oh, interesting.
I would have enjoyed that way
Yes.
more.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Yeah, if at the end they said we saved humanity, we were about peace. We had to do unfortunate things to trick you so that we could disarm all of these things, and now you can't build them,
Right.
like
That's what I was. That was what I at
that's
some point
fantastic.
in the
Oh
middle of
my
the movie. That's where I
goodness.
thought it was going, and that was what I was That was kind of the ending I was hoping for. I would
Yeah.
have liked that.
Now I will say, as far as dramatic endings go, with him he is finally showing he realizes fully at the end of this film. They give him that moment. I was shocked that it ended that way so abruptly, though, frankly. It was a little unsatisfying, but I get it. I get why they did that. It's shocking, right? But to have that be the outcome, like we really were trying to look out for all of humanity, would have been superb and fantastic, and
And
even shocking
Yes.
in its own way too.
Well, and even shocking and interesting if you keep in the scene where they still did the missile launch, kind of like they're still willing to sacrifice some small percentage, a few people of a little bit of humanity to kind of make the point or to really get the rest of people
Right.
to do. So they could have kept that in. They could have kept the murder of the Russian Dr. Forbin equivalent in. They could have kept that in to be still somewhat morally ambiguous. But
Yeah.
the end result being like, haha, we disarmed you.
And I want to give kudos to this film too, Steve,
Thank you.
because it did not portray Russians as monsters.
Yes.
It really did not stereotype them very much at all that I could see. And it was interesting, especially in 1970, to have a movie where they had Russia and America had to work together. They had to actually talk nicely to each other, and just like kudos to this story and to the filmmaker for doing that, because I just got no sense that they were spoofing the Russians at all. They were making fun of them at all. There was intelligence on both sides of this thing here, trying to work together to save their countries and the world, frankly, from these supercomputers. And I think the fact that they work together too, we talked about it briefly, like, I think that was really interesting.
Yes.
I don't
I like
remember hearing a story like that where usually they're just focused on one AI, one supercomputer, one robot or whatever, that's gone awry or whatever. And
the movie that makes me want to go back and rewatch is War Games.
Ah, okay.
yeah, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Yep, because
I haven't seen that in
there's
a
some
long time.
similarity. There's a few similarities, not many, but that's the one I want to go back. I haven't watched that one in years, and I'd like to go back and watch it.
Interesting, because that one, the computer is the villain and isn't the villain, because at the end it just wanted to play a game. It just didn't realize that what's the difference between a game and reality. Whereas this computer in this film, it knew what it's doing. It knew.
Yeah. So the difference I think here is in Colossus, I think they're implying that the computer achieved some level of sentience.
Right.
In War Games, Whopper, my recollection of Whopper is never sentient. Whopper clearly is.
Yeah,
This is an algorithm gone wrong. And that to me is that's a big difference there. Because there's no malice on Whopper's part.
But they portray it, or you as you are watching it, realizing that this thing is going to do something terrible.
Yes, but not out of malice, out of just like mistaken programming or programming that like
self-interest,
wasn't
self-preservation.
Right. It was programming gone awry, which is always an interesting thing. But in some ways I like that, because you're not villainizing the computer. You are potentially showing the dangers of the technology if you're not prepared, or if you don't test it or think it through well enough, all these other things. You're not villainizing the tech itself. And this is where I do a lot of speaking about AI, because again, I do have my master's in computer science. I focusing on AI. I do a lot of training. I do a lot of talks about AI. And that's one of the things is when people talk about being, fearful and scared of AI, I remind them It's just the technology. What I may or be afraid of is how people use it. Like,
Okay.
not the technology itself. I am not afraid of a gun, but I'm potentially afraid of a gun in the hand of a human.
Right,
I'm
right.
not
Mhm.
afraid of a car, but a car in the hands of a wrong human or a drunk human or something
Right.
else is a very dangerous thing. So I'm not afraid of AI algorithms, which is all they are. They're just algorithms, it's software code. But I am potentially afraid of the people or companies or corporations that are using them. A big difference. And so that to me, Whopper is like, Whopper was just an algorithm gone awry or not
Mhm.
well thought of,
Mm.
not well tested, all those things. It was not malicious in any way,
Right.
shape, or form.
And another film where we put our trust in the machines that went against us. If you've ever seen Failsafe, the concept in that is a complete computer glitch because of a software or hardware failure sends a message to a flight of B-58 Hustlers to
Mhm.
go to their targets, that we're at war with Russia.
Mhm.
And in that film, as with this, the United States and the Russians had to work together to prevent something going terribly, terribly wrong. And in the end, Moscow is lost and New York is lost as an exchange of, trying to prevent something greater or a greater war to be broken out. And in this, like you said, Brian, you see the United States and the USSR mutually working together
Yeah.
to overcome a third enemy, a more frightening enemy, which was these supercomputers working together against them.
Mhm.
And I guess that, as you said, for 1970, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really was a big deal to show that, hey, we can work together if we have a common enemy. And that's what they created, was the common enemy for the United States and Russia. I'm trying to think other points I had in here. I wrote down, what again, you like the sets? They seemed real. They seemed like that was a computer in 1970 computer hub. I do like the fact that they, when they introduce the film starts off, you see that it is a massive computer complex.
Yes. Yeah.
In a
Those were good
mountainside.
visuals for 1970.
Yeah. It always reminded me of like the image is in, like you said, Forbidden Planet.
Yes.
Where you see the giant computer, the giant machine that the Krell made, and you go, this is on a massive scale. We have no idea what type of a budget was used to be able to afford all of it. Exactly. And that's always the interesting thing, is the commitment that was made at that time, if you think of it financially, for the United States to do it. And of course, we have to have the Russians matching us, that there's secrets that they would build their own to counteract us. And so that's where the distrust is first there to begin with. And then the trust is built upon that.
That was an interesting point in the film too, that I'd be interested if the book has more, because am I remembering this right, guys? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The supercomputer finds the Russian computer, and the Americans act like they had no idea this other computer existed.
Correct.
And so it's kind of this big shock, and of course, Forbin, as Adina would say, doesn't hardly react at all.
Mm-hmm.
But and again, back to the acting. Like, as I watch this, these actors did a really solid job. There's many scenes where they're just staring at the computer hub thing hanging down from the ceiling, waiting for the next message or reading the messages.
Mm-hmm.
That takes some skill of acting. Like I'm not saying Academy Award winning, but like I am impressed when there's a concept like this, especially when you think about 1970 and what they had as far as computers are vastly different than the power and scope of what we have today, right?
That is so true.
And so anytime you can get actors to really act well at something that is bizarre and strange and out of their scope of what reality is. I'm impressed by that, you know.
Yeah.
And even again, I'm going back to Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which, in a sense, I don't know if that Voyager evolved and collected data and kept growing and wanted to meet its creator, right? Like that film is also famous for how often the actors are just staring at a blank screen, and they had to fill it with a bunch of special effects afterwards.
Right.
So I love that aspect of this film. Like it's all believable as far as how the actors portray everything. They don't get in the way of this story.
No,
Except for, Dina would say Forbin did. But but I think
Probably.
that's one thing I love about sci-fi. I believe actors can make or break a sci-fi film as easy as any other genre, in my opinion. They've got to make you believe they're seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then you're done, right? You can't suspend your disbelief. So kudos to the
There was a TV series in the mid 60s that had a supercomputer go awry.
Ooh, what's that?
It was a show called Star Trek, and it was this
You're talking
episode.
about the ultimate computer. Yeah.
That's
the ultimate
right.
Computer. Yep.
I thought
Yep.
you were gonna awe us with another show.
No, but in that one again, the same thing. It was Dystrom. Dystrom was the inventor of the computer, I think it was, and he put his faith in it. He said, "This thing's going to work. We won't need humans to venture out into space anymore. The computers will do it all." And of course, the computer goes crazy, and the mad scientist is like, "No, this is my baby. You can't turn off my baby." And so in a sense, it's like, was Forbin protecting his device? Because if it failed or if it didn't work right or it went astray, it was his fault because he designed it. And once again, the story is the robot or the machine reflects the personality of its inventor. And that's why at the end, Colossus says, I'm going to keep you around, Forbin, because you're the only one who really knows me better than anybody else. But when the day comes that I don't need you anymore, I won't need you anymore.
It's terrifying. I do think, again, this film does a good job. Forbin has that moment even in his bedroom. He has convinced the computer to not spy on him and quote unquote his mistress, who's his colleague, but then they become kind of lovers, and and so I don't know, they're desperate. I guess I can say okay to that, but still a little cheesy. But I just good. I mean, dimly lit. I mean, they did a good job of hiding their nudity in this film. It was masterful, even, guys. Like,
there's one
the whole
moment
time
where
I'm just going, and he's walking in the bedroom, and her head, she slowly lays down, and her head is
Yep, I
covering
noticed that. Yep.
torso. And
you don't want to mess up the hair.
Okay.
I literally, the wine glasses were fantastic.
Also, when
and
Forbin
probably titillating for the time.
Yeah.
But when she slowly leaned back, I literally went, I clapped my hands and well done. Well done.
I'd have to say you're and I was tempted at first too to be like, oh, this is blatant, like, I don't know, kind of sexist drivel, like at first, when he suggested, but I was going through my head to think of other ways, they could communicate. And I was not coming up with a lot of good ways. And, so I thought it was done pretty well. I mean, but so kudos to, her for kind of being able to go along with it. Cause I feel like that was a huge ask. But again, this is a big deal. This is a life or death situation, essentially.
Right.
So, I kind of did like that they did get together. I'm kind of annoyed that she sort of had to make the first move. I don't know why it annoys me a little bit, like that she had to make the first move. But I guess maybe he was trying to be super respectful Which
Yeah,
okay,
being a
good.
gentleman.
Mhm.
There
Yes.
you go. You just answered your own question.
I
Yeah.
know.
And I think
know.
I want to go. You went here, Dina. I want to go here because the good guys
Mhm.
listening to this podcast who are trying to do the right thing here, trying to be gentlemen, sometimes get a bad rap because they're not freaking forceful enough or going for it.
There's a
I'm not
balance.
really. There is a balance.
There is a balance.
There is a
There's a
fantastic
fine
balance.
line. There's a
And as a
fine
married
line.
man, I don't really have to worry about this particular thing anymore. Thank you, Jesus. And so, but I think like we say that, like part of me, I think that was different for this time period too, which I think maybe, I don't know if they did that intentionally.
Mhm.
That because back in that time, like it was still the men advancing in
Well,
making
but it was
the
after
move.
the sexual revolution,
Mhm.
formally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It kind of started
Yeah.
at that time.
I don't know. I felt like I needed to say something there, and it went nowhere really.
Sorry.
In all honesty,
That's okay.
But I think Adina, that was interesting though. I did as that scene was progressing, and he was trying to be kind. He was trying to be respectful to her.
Mhm.
That's how they had to communicate. It's the only way they could. And
Right.
so they were kind of stuck. And I mean, when you're that close with someone like that, and the computer is making you undress in the other room together to make sure
You're
you
gonna
have
get
no
together.
devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they were married either, were they? I
No.
don't think
No,
talked.
it-
So, I
yep.
mean,
That's
come on.
that's why they use
So
that
there's nothing
old.
wrong with it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Desperate
Nothing wrong with it.
situation. Like, of
Yep.
course, it's gonna go there. You know.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting. To use the term his mistress, which
Yeah.
which
That was
implies that
weird.
because usually when you say that he would have been married and she would have been then his mistress that
Yeah.
he's having an affair with. So it was a strange choice of words. He could have said his lover. This is, something of that nature. But when you say mistress, it makes her seem like she's causing him to cheat on his wife. And we don't think he's married to anyone at
No.
all, except he's married to his work and
Yeah.
so on. And I
So
will say,
I feel like
mistress.
mistress is kind of a term used. It's like not girlfriend. So like when it's a
Yeah.
casual thing, it's like not like a girlfriend. So it's like not. So
Okay,
that's
maybe
what I
that-
think is.
okay,
That's what I think is the
Mistress.
intent.
We'll go
is.
with
And
that.
I feel like I've heard it used in that context
Yeah.
before.
Okay.
Mistress in secret. Like you don't want necessarily everybody to know about this
Right.
Or there's not
Right.
like a defined
Mhm.
relationship. It's
Mhm.
someone you're just having
Yeah.
fun with.
Yeah. it just, what the scene that kind of really emotional moment was when the programmers are taken out and shot by the military. That was like the ultimate example that these machines had no care for humanity whatsoever. That
But what's the military guys doing? The computer says go shoot these two, and those someone else had to give that order.
I
too.
assume it's still like similar to what happened with the Russian scientist and the things
Mhm.
like, hey, if you guys don't do this, we're gonna, nuke Washington or
vaporize New Jersey or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I think
that's
it's
true.
just
That I
the same
forgot.
thing.
You're,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. There was a warning. Like
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
also, and that was done for the Russian. For the Americans, it could easily have been falsely generated commands that were given to these saying you are to round these people up and shoot them, execute them, and leave their bodies. Then that was shocking because I liked that character. That program was an interesting guy. You liked him, and you're like, oh my God, they're sacrificing one of the likable characters in this. But you see the shocking reaction to that.
Yeah. There's a lot of paper in this too. That computer printed out a ton of paper throughout this movie. I mean, there's just a lot of
back
paper.
in the early 80s when I had my dot matrix printer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We went through reams of paper.
It sure. Oh, absolutely. Same for myself at work. It was like everything was on, and you have to have two different types of dot matrix. You had the super wide one, or you had the narrow one. You had to have both of those.
Narrow one.
I had
we
both.
had
at work.
wide ones. I don't think we had a wide one at home. There are wild ones other places.
We had one.
I
at
can
work
still
in
hear
my
the
old
noise in
company.
my head.
Oh yeah, it's ingrained deeply.
Just like I can hear the dial-up,
Mm-hmm.
in internet time and even pre-internet when we
Yeah.
dialed into bulletin boards
Yeah,
and things.
yeah.
Yep.
And you mentioned about the music, Brian, and it was very interesting because there were points of the music where it very much had a Planet of the Apes sound to it, where they were using the percussion, and it had that very. And I looked up, and it's two different. That was Jerry Goldsmith who did Planet of the Apes in 1959. So I don't know if this guy picked up on those themes. Because it had
who
that.
Was the music composer? I meant to look that up, but never got around to it.
Name was where is it? Right here, Michael Columbier. Michael Columbier.
I'll be darned. Does it have a do you have a list of other films he composed? I'll look that up.
Yep. A lot of European films. He did The Money Pit. Okay. He did Ruthless People. Yeah,
I don't know.
A lot of smaller films or so on. Major League 2, he did that. But this had, again.
Really?
Yeah. What else? And Swept Away, and has Stella got her groove back? I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't seem like.
Oh, really?
Like great. So yeah, this one. This wasn't a quickly recognizable composer.
Yeah, but he did a fine job. I felt like the music at different points of the film really helped move it along and added some intrigue and interest. Yeah. So
it's like when they're at in his place, his mistress and him. The music is very cool jazz of like Playboy After Dark kind of music that they use for that, and it was appropriate for the scenes. But when the tension was strong, the music was strong. So you're right; it did kind of move things along in its own way.
Yeah. All right.
And the end result, I know what you said, Adina. There's every film can have a happy ending or an evil ending, and you look at a film like Brazil, where it had an evil or a sad ending to it. And the producers said, no, we want to have a happy ending. And there was a big fight between Terry Gilliam and the producers over what was released in the theaters. So, yeah, you could actually look at a lot of films and say, yeah, if it has a sad ending, you could convert into a bit more positive one. But at the time, I think apocalyptic films and that apocalyptic feeling was starting to come into movies. Either environmental, like Andromeda Strain, or even Silent Running that we reviewed and talked about, or Planet of the Apes, where they blew it all to hell, that I think that was popular at that time. And this book came out in the mid-'60s. So that feeling of impending doom was still there. And that was brought into this particular film, that it had to, I guess, ultimately had to have the ending of, we lose, you win, you're the boss now. And I do like that whole speech at the end of Colossus, his soliloquy, which really just set the tone. And you will come to learn and you will come to love me. Like, what?
Terrifying.
Yes, terrifying.
Dictators talk like that. Sometimes.
And that's what he was.
So interesting.
Well, any other thoughts you'd like to share about it? Or I think we've talked it out as we have.
I'm just glad, Steve, you picked a film Adina and I both watched all the way through this time.
Oh, I appreciate that.
That's very nice.
It did take me 2 sessions because I was just too tired the first night, so I had to finish it the next night.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, thank you for showing us. I ended up paying Prime Ticket, Prime Video for it. Yeah, I did that, rented that, and then. But it's nice to know that it's out there for people to see for free. And
on Vimeo. Yep.
Yeah, that was really nice. I didn't know that existed, and maybe that did to begin with. But again, when it was very interesting because I follow a sci-fi page on Facebook, and they've been bringing up this film quite often.
Huh.
Like people are starting to realize it's now out there, and it may have a second life.
Yeah.
It might become more of a cult classic, when these little films end up coming or becoming, because now more than ever, people are, as you say, people are a little worried about what the future holds for us.
Sure.
If we have, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I'm sorry, Steve. I think this film is at least minorly worthy of a cult following, if anything. Like I'd say this is one worth seeing if you're a sci-fi fan, for sure, and especially if you're interested in AI, in possible end of the world type sci-fi. Like, I think check this out. Watch it on Vimeo, rent it on Prime or wherever, and I think I was very intrigued by this film. I found it very watchable, and
that's good.
I wanted to know what happened. So go seek this one out.
Plus, also, it's always fun for people now to look back and see what computers and software and how these things were done back then compared to now. And I think that's one of the little snapshots in history that we're seeing from this film. Yes, there's a giant complex in the side of a mountain where it's stored, but it's in the control room to see how everything was at that time. That was state of the art. They said, even in Wikipedia, that they actually used real computer systems for depiction in the film. So you got to see what life was like in 1970.
Yeah. I did not buy the secrecy of this project that they talked about at the beginning, that massive structure in the mountainside. I was like, oh, come on, somebody. There's an observation post they keep showing of the entrance of that too.
Yes, that was kind of funny that they had that at some point too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a little hilarious. And did you notice in that scene again when this thing was bombed and blow up, and again what you were saying, Brian, a few minutes ago about people hiding their faces, the women hiding their faces. Did you know some people had Colossus t-shirts?
Yes. I like that. I like that a lot.
I would wear a Colossus t-shirt.
I want to find one. Maybe we can find one online. But the other thing you say about that, how could it happen? Well, that's always in the 60s. There would be these massive complexes underwater in a James Bond film or in a volcano or whatever. And didn't anybody notice that Spectre was building a massive rocket launch facility inside of volcano? I think somebody would have picked that up somehow, but that was the kind of style of the film. There was big, there's massive.
But then again, Steve, if you've been out west, if you've explored mountainous regions, it is possible to have entire days where you don't see anybody else. If you're extreme exploring,
That's true.
out west, it is possible to have that happen. And even to go on hikes in populated areas around Utah where I lived, there were times my wife and I went on very open trails and saw nobody up and back. And so I guess now that I think about that, I could buy it, but that was a massive entrance to that computer in the side of the mountain. So,
and no one knew it was happening when it was happening.
Stupid.
Anyway, so we've come now to the end of the podcast, and since we've all watched it, now we get to do the official Brian Donahue 5-star rating system. Copyright Brian Donahue 2026. I'm updating that so you get your bennies on this from now on. So,
my bennies.
Yeah. So, Adina, do you want to go first, or Brian, you want to go first?
I've been thinking about this. I want to say it's 3.5-ish.
Okay. Out of 5.
Actually, Adina, thank you. I feel like for you to go a 3.5, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
For a film that you had some issues with, but still, I think that's pretty.
Yeah. It was
Pretty
intriguing. It
generous.
was intriguing. It kept me. It was intriguing. So that's why. Yes.
Yeah. Brian, how do you feel?
I'm going to go 3.52. I think this is worth, if you're a sci-fi fan watching, I think it's done well enough, especially for its era. I think it's intriguing, interesting. I think by the end of the film, you care about what happens to the characters and to society at large. And I love that they didn't stereotype Russians. They made them intelligent and that they work together. So there's a lot going for this film. It has its flaws, but I would say it's fair to say 3.5, a solid 3 point, an enthusiastic 3.5.
And you know what? I'm agreeing with you guys on that as well. Even though I chose it and it's one that I've always liked, it does have its moments that are not perfect. Will I watch this again? It's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't know if I'll just pick it up again at some other future date, watch it again. There are so many other films that deal with this subject that are also exceptionally well and maybe worth seeing again as well. So I'm going to go with you guys on 3.5 as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
I would watch this. The reason I'm giving it a 3.5 instead of a 3, if someone said, "Hey, I want to watch this, will you watch it with me?" I would probably say yes and see what they think about it. So
I think that's, and again, it's because of the time, the language, there's no language, there's no vulgarity, there's no gratuitous scenes, it's no violence. It's pretty straightforward. It's a thriller. It's what it is. It's a thriller. So, well, since I wrote the intro and the outro on a Microsoft Word system and it's saved in the cloud. So first off, was
did
it
you
okay?
use Copilot though to help you?
I actually did use Copilot as part of looking up a little background information. So yes, I did.
Right.
But I just want to make sure what we did. Was it okay with you and Mr. and Mrs. Artificial Intelligence? Because and since this podcast was recorded on a computer. And I hope we have not offended you in any way. I mean, I don't want to be on the wrong end of the AI apocalypse when it happens.
Can I, Steve?
Just kidding.
Steve,
yes,
Steve,
go ahead.
I want to say that I'm sorry to interrupt your wonderful outro here, but I want to say when I use Copilot or Chat GPT, I always say please and thank you. Just in case they know that I have always treated it with respect and dignity. So continue, my friend.
I didn't use Copilot to write this. I didn't use AI to write this, but I used Gemini to get some information on this. So that's what I did. Well, I hope my fellow human meatbags listening to this podcast will take the time to rent or see this film as Brian suggested, or as he did. And yes, it is a bit dated. And yes, it was made when a computer the size of Colossus now can fit in the palm of your hand. And yes, that was a telex machine that is used to communicate with Colossus until voice recognition was given to it. And if you don't know what a telex machine is, Google it. That's what AI is for, and that's what it's there, because it makes our lives easier. In the olden days, we youngins had to go to the library and get a book.
Oh my goodness!
And find the answer to questions right now.
Stop it!
Literally, the knowledge of the world is at your fingertips. And I think that's one of the great things about the internet. And if it's, what was that line from Get Smart? He used his powers for goodness as opposed to evil. And I think that's what we can do with this. And if you think Colossus could not happen, well, Elon Musk has plans for a supercomputer using his XAI system, and he is calling it Colossus. So sleep tight, little ones. Elon is there for you. But until we are here only to serve our computer overlords, let me say thank you for listening to another episode of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast. And as always, I leave you with these parting words. Look to the skies. Live long and prosper. End program.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the BIG Sci Fi Podcast. We're a proud part of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network, and you can listen to more of our over 150 episodes at trekgeeks.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel now. Until next time, live long and prosper.